right here. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know what Spencer's keeping up. Yeah, I just don't know what he's keeping up.
I don't know
Now
what
we've seen,
I'm here.
where's your face? Where's your face?
Huh?
Where's your face?
I'm too handsome to come on this thing, Tundi.
Bro, wipe your eye, man.
Nah, hear what? I've got to log out and log back in because it's just mucking me about. All right, later.
But I don't want to see no avatar. I want to see your real face. Because then you can gauge a man's heart when you see his face. Yeah, anyway, without further ado, we had the Pradas on yesterday. Today, it's the Tom Fords. Tom Fords. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, let us start the show in the magical words. And I'm going to have to say Spencer's part. Dream it, believe it, become it. And then Spencer says his own self, come on up. I know Spencer's going to be brushing me straight away as he comes on, chat about old self. Me and you, same age. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, what a show we have lined up for you. I don't know who's going to be on the show, but Spencer's always the man with a black book. You know, I gave him that name. The black book has black powers, and it's a John Wick book. It's a book where you just phone a man random, and we get a response, whoever it is in the world of boxing, whether it's Shakur Stevenson, whether it's Terrence Bud Crawford, whether it's Lennox Lewis, whether it's Jay Prince, whether it's we had Frank. You know what? We even had Frank Bruno on this thing yet. That's one, yeah. Yeah, I'm going to tell Spencer to draw for Frank Bruno because Frank Bruno is a legend. We've had Nigel Benn, Chris Eubanks, obviously. Joe Calzaghe is someone still yet to bless the show, but I know we're working on that as well. It's good to have the legends, the old school guys, and let them still know that they have fans. And there were people that were watching them when they was coming up. Anyway, big up AA Develops, first man in the house. E. Francis, looking forward to this. Jermaine Williams, bro, you're number 3 today, Jermaine, man. You got to keep it up. It's about being consistent, bro. You was the third man in the dance today. But big up Jermaine Williams, hot video, Alan Skill, Bladins, I see you, bro. ND. Good evening, people. Richard Burrows, Snaps, the one and only Snaps. Tunde's in the building as well. Halim, Boston, yes, sir. Yeah, Mickey Dubs. Al Nasir is in the building. Johnny Rumble, old tight Johnny. Daniel J. Boateng, Andre Bukenya, Yemi X, Rob Mayer, John Country Dunn, aka the chairman, Lance Noor, Stamina for sale coming all day. That's money. Big up I've been. Long time we've been I've been. I'm sure I ain't seen you for a little while, a hot minute. Old tight Guzzy, Damian Charles, Untraceable. Too much to mention. And what is first Snapchat of the evening? JK Better Life, old type Mitchell Taylor. But Snapchats have to be mentioned first. Thank you, Carlos, for the €5.99. Good evening, gentlemen and viewers. Another episode upcoming. Have a great one all. And thank you for the Snapchat. Old type Nathan Bailey. I'm still picking up people because we can't leave no one behind. Duke Alexander, Nathan Bailey, Lupe, Bianco, David Winner. Blessings to you, my man. Yeah, we're gonna have a good show. We are going to have a good show tonight because there is much to discuss. I don't know what has happened to Spencer, but we're now almost 5 minutes in and he still is not online. Can I just say though, big up. Obviously, Ivan said he was in the background yesterday. Right, cool, say nothing. Old type Jermaine Gordon as well. Sorry, you don't want to let me start the thing. Old tight Lee Bruce, and we will be touching on that. Kevin Worrell, there's so much. Come on, always a good show Tunde. Come on. Yeah, let me pick up Fight Fan TV for the interview they just gave me, or I just had with them this afternoon. It was like you were sitting in a barbershop or the hairdressers and you're just reasoning with your friends or family. Such a good interview, and I can't wait to see run it back. I can't wait to see it before it comes out, because we've got to credit check these things in. But it was a good interview. Big up Gus and Lex, Danny Wright, Lex, all day, every day. Right, what is Spencer doing, people? Please tell me. O-Type Mental Health and Addiction. Big up Amy and Brad from Bristol. O-Type Mental Health and Addiction. Two very, very important subjects which can never go away. I think the man himself is back. Where's he gone? Yeah, you lot need to buy Spencer a new computer. O-Type Ben Oldham, the one and only Magic Ben Oldham. Good evening, Tunde. Spencer running. Bro, South London, that's exactly what it is. It's South London time. It's not, this one is not even black time. It's just South London time. It's like, I think it's how we operate. Imagine I'm having an interview and the host is late today. And I'm like, bro, you're just keeping up the paradigm, the stereotype. Like, we've got to be late to something. It's either we're either late or we don't want to leave the dance when the building has given us a get out time. That's always the case. What is the matter with Spencer? I keep on seeing him flicking in and flicking out, but it's just not. What? I don't know what's the matter with this, brother. Actually, I'll give you a joke. Spencer's attitude and his behavior made a certain individual leave the company. And Manny, we're not even calling no names. Because that person who left the company is watching right now. 1,000,000%. You know, I know you're watching. Bro, because he just can't take Spencer. He couldn't take Spencer. It was too much. He's like, bro, I can't. He's like, me and him was always talking. And he's like, nah. And you know, Spencer, I was explaining on the podcast today what I was on. I was like, see, when you've grown up with someone, when you know someone, Spence, sort your computer out. Yeah, when you grow up with someone and when you know someone, when they say something, they might be cussing you, or sorry, they might be, taking a mick out of you and everything like that. You don't really, it's just, in one ear, out the other. But when you're dealing with people that you've met in business and you start cussing them or saying certain jokes, it's not that they're going to take it. And me, I'm always trying to be like the little, the mediator. And I'm like, bro, that's how he is. You just got to accept it. But it's like professionals don't really, they don't want to be working in that environment. they don't want to be working in that environment. So he just had enough. Manny, he just had enough. He said, bro, allow you, man. Forget it. I don't like, bro. I helped you build the channel, but I can't take Spencer. Eating everything, always eating on the cup, always just cussing people. I told you, that's why there's a difference between London and everywhere else. When you come from London, you're a bit more thick-skinned, and you can take this criticism that you may be getting from your counterpart or your business. But nah. Anyway, I'm seeing some comments coming up. Old tight Carlos. Shabazz Masood. Didn't he fight the other day, man? I saw he fought the other day, Shabazz. I think I'm reading that Shabazz has left Ben Davison and gone with Coach Asker. I think that's what I'm reading. Okay, Manny's telling us he did, which is a shame. But you know what? I always say, in fairness to the young man, if you're going to leave on a win. I was having this discussion with a certain promoter on Friday night. If you're going to leave on a win, don't lose and then you leave. So basically, you're just blaming the coach. You're just blaming the coach. And you're not taking no responsibility. You're individuals. We're all individuals. It's down to every individual to put their best foot forward and do their best. And if you're moving collectively as a team, when, as most times, unless you're Floyd Mayweather, Joe Calzaghe and Andre Ward, when it goes pear-shaped, you don't, I feel you got to take that as well. You take your L's, you take your W's. But that's just me. Nathan Bailey, thank you. I still have to watch it because sometimes I say things on interviews where my mouth is just rolling. I don't even know what I say. That's why when I do the podcast, I'm like, bro, I need to see that before because I don't really want to hurt people's feelings. But yeah, anyone else think KT uses a... We're going to talk about all this. We're just waiting for Spencer to come back on. Oh, yeah, that's what I say. Yeah, Manny, that's what I'm saying. He won his last fight. Therefore, him leaving now doesn't look so bad to me. Obviously, all parties involved may feel different. I just don't think that when you lose, when you suffer your first defeat, like that's not the time to leave your coach. That's not the time to leave your coach. Because that means publicly, the perception is the coach is rubbish. He ain't done what he's supposed to do. You understand? And I don't feel that it's always like that. But anyway, it's not my business, so I don't know. But yeah, hashtag find Spencer. Why don't you do it on your phone then, Spence? Let me try phone, Spencer, because this is nonsense. But Manny, I knew he was moving shady from I saw the avatar. I knew he was moving shady from I saw the avatar come on. Because that's not Spencer. I think he's just trying to get some sleep. Let's phone him. Otherwise, we're just going to have to start do the show without him. Why is it not working, though? You was online.
I know, it just cut off. I don't know what's happening.
Yeah, you planned this.
Oh, please. It just cut off, bro.
So what is the problem? Just try to log on. And that's what I said. If it don't work, just do it on your phone.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So Spencer's claiming that the thing's not working. He's trying his best. So I don't know. I really don't know. And so it's going to be one of them. It's Manny. If anyone wants to come online, Manny, put the link up in the comment in the box and let's talk to the people until if and maybe Spencer comes on, maybe he doesn't. There's a lot of people always messaging and having So there you are. Anyone that wants to join myself on The Fight Is Right this evening, tell all your friends about it. Log on, press the link. Otai AO, sort it out, Roadman signs. Yeah, trust me. Boxing Royale, Mr. Lemon, Rob Mayer. Come on, Bomber Clark Boxing. Spencer's back again. I can see it. I don't know. Add him to the stage. Bro, I know what happened. When you heard Everman's coming on, you're like, nah. No man ain't teeth in my limelight today.
What?
But you know what? Manny, the link's up there. Still, if someone wants to come on, why not? Why not? We can have
the thing. No, we ain't calling no one in right now. The thing just weren't working. I don't know what was going on with this thing. It weren't working. I logged in, logged out, rebooted it. It just wasn't working. It was trying to take living.
That was TalkSport.
Come here, bro.
That was TalkSport.
Yeah, bro. Since this TalkSport thing, they're trying to mash up the tick, bro.
But why are you trying to copy my style and come with a turtleneck?
Oh, say hello to Uncle Tunde.
Hello.
Right.
Hello, what? Uncle Tunde.
Uncle Tunde. Say hello, Uncle Tunde. Say hello.
Hello.
You're being so shy.
I was wondering what was
No,
there.
leave that alone.
What's that?
There's some paper that Daddy's using. Go on.
Money.
You can have it.
Yay.
Bye.
Come on, big up Rhea. Well, at least she's not sleeping today. I see the smile look bright.
Bro, Ton, she's meant to be sleeping. They're taking liberties. That's what they're doing. They're taking some adverse liberties with me. Boy, yeah. I don't know what was happening with this thing. I was on the thing just a minute ago when you lot was talking. The thing just logged me out, and I went back in it. It wasn't making connect. I said, "Look at this madness." You look like this madness.
All right. So obviously we have much to discuss this evening, Spence. I think first and foremost, we have to start at the top, talking about Katie Taylor getting her revenge, outpoints Chantel Cameron last night, and let's do the post-fight. We also will talk about David Benavidez' victory, beat up, bust down, thump up of Andrade, Demetrius Andrade. I can never say it. I'm pronouncing it as well, but Andrade, Demetrius and Andrade. That was a hell of a beating last night. And
So
you almost felt sorry for him from
it
the round
wasn't
before.
it wasn't pleasant to watch. I'm gonna be real.
He got punched up, and that was a problem. Only 26 years young. He's a problem. He's a problem.
I wouldn't want to. How he fights, yeah, and he's actually fearless, you know.
Fearless.
He's fearless, bro.
I said it. Kurt Campbell just made a point that he looked massive in the ring, and I said it from a few fights back, from even when he fought David Lemieux, who really David Lemieux was always a 168er, if I'm not mistaken.
No. David Lemieux originally was a middle. No, he was a middleweight. Yeah.
Okay. Yes. But in that fight, I was surprised by the size of Benavidez. He's definitely moving up to light heavy. Definitely. And I hear him talking about Bivol. He's ready to fight Bivol. He sparred Bivol in the past, and he thinks that he can beat him. So that'll be another great addition to the light heavyweight division. And this is what I'm saying about opportunities and fighting for a world title when you get the opportunity, because sometimes you're sitting down waiting for this perfect moment. Hold on, but you're getting older.
I'm telling you.
And younger boy, you're going to that the division is going to get easier. There's going to be young, fresh guys coming up who are going to be just as good, if not better, than the guys whose era is. Again, this is why I'm talking about why should Terrence Boots fight Bud? You do it. Why should Bud fight Boots? Yeah, Boots is the new era. Like,
well, the thing about it is this, like, I don't think at this present moment in time, like, nobody wouldn't think that Terrence Crawford wouldn't beat Boots Ennis.
Yes.
I think they're just right. But the thing about it is this, is like, when we're looking at styles and the things that he does, how he fights, I don't think because he's so young and he's so fresh, I don't think there's no rush for Terrence Crawford, because Terrence Crawford is taking care of top guys. For all the great stuff that Boots Ennis has done, right? He's done some fantastic stuff, and we could see that potential wise. But bottom line, he hasn't fought nobody, right? Mainly because guys, when he's meant to due to fight, they priced himself out. I know you know how the game is, but so he must be doing something. But we're talking about a man who's a legitimate pound for pound number one. So when you think, why should he fight him? He shouldn't have to fight him, because he's not that big name. It's taken ages for Terrence Crawford to be that name. You know what I mean? It took him ages for him to get the Errol Spence fight. So now that he's got the Errol Spence fight, and he had the Spence fight, and he came out victorious in the way that he did, because that was very one-sided, that beating.
Spencer, look at your phone. I just text back the answer. Sorry, people.
Yep, that's right, Tim.
Which one is it?
Huh?
Text it back.
Just put him on, man. Your blue eyes.
No, text back the thing. You don't need to surprise me, because I've seen the name.
All right.
So you know how we operate on The Fight Is Right.
Oh.
No way.
Yes, man.
No way.
Yes, man. You
So
know my man. Come on.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, making his Fight and Right. Fight is the, you making me all, you know when you get nervous and you start muddling, you start fumbling the name. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce to you a man who I consider a friend before anything. Business is business, as I always tell everyone on the Fighters Fight. Business is business. But this man has been the ambassador, the king of British boxing for more than 40 years. He is the man who you know that I all call Mr. Blue Eyes. Ladies and gentlemen, we welcome to the Fight is Right, the one, the only, the king of this whole thing, Mr. Frank Warren, sir. How you doing, sir?
Good evening, gentlemen. Listen.
That was
a bit of a build up there. I hope it's not.
No, but you deserve it, Frank. I told everyone the way the Fight is Right. Listeners, they actually know you without even seeing you because I speak about you so often on this show. They know you already, Frank.
Well, as you say, we are very good friends, and
yes,
go back a long way. As with Spencer, I used to promote him when he was fighting, so. I'll go back there and I think, I was about 60 when I was promoting you, Spence, wasn't I?
Yeah, 1997 that was, sir.
Yeah, well, that's a long time ago. Anyway, well, it's a pleasure to be on your show. I've listened to it, and it's I find it very, very informative and entertaining. And as I say, thank you for asking me.
Yes, sir. It's so mad because I mean, listen, we speak. You might as well say every day, Frank, and I've never even asked you to come on the show because I'm like, it's nothing. But you probably will be surprised at how many people really always want to hear you speak. Because obviously we have a community here. I say last night, 17,000 people watched the watch-along.
Brilliant. That's good numbers. Well done.
You understand? We had 2,000 people live with us, so it's a massive untapped community, and having someone of your stature on the show is just a blessing, really. But let's get into it because I know that people want to hear the legend himself, Mr. Do Me a Favor. Mr. Do Me a Favor. Spencer, I'll let you come with the first line of question. Go.
Yeah, Frank. Congratulations with what's going on in Saudi Arabia at this present moment. I know you said that your son George Warren was pivotal in putting that together with yourself. I know Gold Star Promotions.
Spencer. Yes,
Spencer Brown, who's our guy. He comes on the show regular. It was a massive kind of thing. But now that has happened, could you see Saudi Arabia becoming the new Mecca of boxing and taking away from Las Vegas?
Look, there's a commitment there. His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh, he's committed to boxing. He's a massive boxing fan. He's quite knowledgeable, and all of his team are really into it. And they showed their commitment, I think, in the last show, which was an event with Tyson in the crossover fight with him and Ngannou. But the event and what they put together, and the people who they invited and who guests and who showed up there, tells you that this is going to be a serious destination for boxing in the world. And it's a bit like Vegas was when Vegas started, because when Vegas started, again, Riyadh is a big city. I think the population's well over 7 million, so it's a big city. When Vegas started, it was not I don't even think it was a city at that stage, but it was in the desert, in the middle of the desert, and everybody at the time thought it was crazy. Who's ever going to be going to a desert to watch entertainment, and certainly boxing, as it turned out. But the facts of the matter are, it's a massive destination now for entertainment, the same as is happening in Riyadh. It's the 4th year that they've been going. They have, the amount of acts and the various sports and entertainment that's taking place there is becoming a real cultural scene. And we're delighted that from His Excellency's point of view, who's basically a chairman and runs this, that he is so into boxing, and he wants boxing to be a major part of it. So we're all involved in making it work, and we've got some fantastic shows coming up and more planned for the future.
How honoured do you feel, Frank, that you're part of this? Because this is actually history making. What's happening right now? Because other people tried before, and they did it where they put a lot of money into it and all the rest of it. But when you're dealing with somebody like Turki Al-Sheikh, because he's the head of entertainment and sport of the country, and he's also royal advisor to the king of Saudi Arabia. Like, how much of an honor is that like you have that kind of royalty and you're dealing with those people on a regular basis?
Well, it's a great honour, and we're at Queensberry. We're more than very, very delighted to be involved in it. As is with Spencer, George, my son George, who's the CEO of Queensberry, and Tyson's been pivotal in there because they wanted Tyson there. They wanted Tyson. They wanted to get him in the, help us and get this fight on between him and a big fight with Usyk, which we was trying to do all year, but it didn't happen for various reasons, which weren't down to us, by the way. But now that's signed and that's happening, and that's going on the 17th of February. So it's a great honour that this, everything's sort of, all the stars have aligned and it's worked out. And I'm really, from a dad's point of view, I think with George, what he's done there has been brilliant. I mean, he's formed an excellent relationship himself there, and I know that they like and respect what he does. So it's been brilliant. And as I say, Spencer Brown's done a fabulous job. Between him and George, they've been a good team. They've worked very hard together. So yeah, it's great times for boxing. It's another big market for boxing, and it's enabling big fights to happen. And the beauty of it, as far as the UK is concerned, some of these big fights wouldn't take place unless they were in a casino in the States, that's where the revenue will come from. The fact that we can do them there means that in the UK we get them at prime time rather than have to sit up till 4, 5, 6 o'clock in the morning waiting for the first bell. So it's great for the British fans as well, in as much as I say we get them at prime time.
Frank, moving on for the Saudi thing, what would you? You've been in boxing for so long. What are some of your greatest or fondest memories in terms of fighters that you've seen with your physical eye?
Blimey, that's a tough one. That, because I'm nearly 100 years old. I've seen nearly everybody. Going back to Jack Johnson and Dempsey. No, yes, that's a tough question, really. I've had some really magical moments in boxing, and seen some great fights. I've been at ringside. I've been involved in promoting some of them, and met some fabulous people and some great times. One of the real good moments I had was with Dennis Andrews. I really liked Dennis. He was real from the school of hard knocks.
Yeah, when he beat Davey Williamson.
Yeah, he done it the real hard way. He weren't on no England squad or anything. He was just a real tough sod, and he was a nice fella, Dennis. And he was one of the guys I really did enjoy meeting and having a good time in boxing. It's just been a load. I only say that because people like don't get a mention. I remember Frank Bruno fighting for the world title, and he got beat in the States, and he come back, and then and Dennis, and he came back to a big accolades for coming second at that time before he won the world title on my show a few years later. And Dennis came back, won the belt in a fabulous fight in I think it's in Australia, and he got the tube from the airport with his belt. And I thought, that just tells you, the big divide sometimes in the sport, and what people go through and they do at all the different levels. Like we do shows everywhere. I love being down. I like going to the York Halls and seeing some of these youngsters coming through. I like it, in an instance where we're working together, with Anthony. Who I think's a brilliant you know, I love him to death, Anthony. He's a lovely guy. He's been, and he can fight. But when you look back at the very, very limited amount of experience he had in coming into pro boxing, I think, would he have 12 fights as an amateur?
12
Which is
amateur
nuts.
fights, yeah.
And there he is. He's had 2 shots at the world title. Been very unlucky in as much that the first
Yes.
one I thought he could have won, and the second one he was in with a guy who had a lot of experience, a lot of experience, and you know, maybe in another era he would have won that world title. But it's, you know, we're now working hard between us to get him in there again, and I think I genuinely do think he's capable of winning a world title. And again, that would be a great feel-good story for everybody concerned.
Yes, sir. Spence?
You promoted some really, really great fights. I would say, for me, like, and you've seen some great fights, you've worked along some great fights, but if you guys don't know, Frank Warren's first ever world championship fight was many moons ago, and it was when you brought over Donald Curry, at the time was the WBA world welterweight champion, against Colin Jones.
That's right.
Right. Birmingham NEC, right?
You're right. And at the time, the Border Control didn't really recognise the WBA, and who are an older organisation, by the way, than WBC, but they didn't recognise them. They were affiliated to the BC. We had a lot of problems getting it on. The 15-rounder, and Don Curry was something special. I mean, he was a special fighter, and I can remember Colin's late manager, really nice Welsh guy, Eddie Thomas. I remember him and I going to watch about 2 or 3 of his fights. Going to watch Donald's fights. I think one of them was in Sicily, in Marsala, and what we noticed at the time, he was absolutely struggling at the weight like you can't believe. So we decided to put the fight on in. I said we'll put the fight on in January. It was in I think it was 85 in January, and cold time of the year, and the weigh-ins were on the day of the fight in those days. And Bob Arum was my partner in the show. We did together, and it was a good fight. Colin got to suffer a terrible cut in that fight, and all I remember about one thing I do remember about that was the weigh-in was Donald Curry getting off the scales, and he could just about walk. He was how he made that weight, I do not know, and they were filling him up with liquids and so forth, but he really, really struggled to make the weight, as he did when he eventually lost his title to Lloyd. Yeah,
it was like a year later.
Performance by Lloyd, by the way.
Yeah, September of '86. But you see, at the time when Lloyd Honeycutt, there's a couple of fights. So I know, like you also promoted Kirtland Lang.
Yeah.
And Colin Jones had those 2 famous knockouts over him where he was comprehensively being outpointed by Kirtland Lang, and he got knocked out by that famous left hook twice, Tundi, right? Kirtland Lang was an incredible boxer because Kirtland Lang went out and beat Roberto Duran. And so that's all right. Who do you think would have won out of Kirtland Lang and Lloyd Honeycutt, Frank, in your honest opinion? Because you was around both of those guys.
At that time, Kirtland Lang and Lloyd Honeycutt, that'd have been a tough one. That'd have been a real tough fight. Problem is with Kirtland, he didn't live the life outside the ring.
Not at all.
I mean, when he used to come to my office, I used to have to hide the plants. He was a lovely guy, a lovely character. He was a really nice person, and he could fight a bit. There's no doubt about that. And the 2 fights he had with Colin Jones, both of those fights, Colin Jones was, well, I didn't promote those, by the way, but both of those fights, I went to see them both, and he was behind. He won every round, Colin Kirk, but Colin was a good puncher, and he caught up them and clipped him twice, and that was it. But him, Kirkland and Lloyd would have been a little bit special. And I heard in the gym, people back then, because obviously I didn't work with them then, but I heard in the gym that that Kirkland used to more than hold his own with him.
I heard that Kirtland Lang used to beat up Lloyd Hannigan quite badly, because I remember when I was only a kid then, and I was at the Henry Cooper, and Kirtland Lang came in there. He said, Lloyd, used to be my beating stick. You can't say it. Right. I remember that, right. So on that time, but if we used to go and move on, because I remember the comeback of Barry McGuigan after McGuigan got beaten by Steve Cruz, and then he signs with you, and I don't think people realize just how big that Irishman was. Tunde, I don't think you understand. Like with hysteria, the mass hysteria. You promoted him on his comeback. I remember the route that you was trying to push him in, because Rocky Lockridge just came over here.
Well, I had Rocky Lockridge.
I know you did, and he beat Barry Michaels for the IBF title.
Correct.
Right. It's me you're talking to, Frank. But so he beat him for the IBF title, and that was the fight that could have happened. But could you just explain to our listeners just how big a star Barry McGuigan was?
Well, he won the title against a very good fighter at Queens Park Rangers. They had the Pedrosa.
You say Pedrosa, yeah.
Yeah. And I was close to making the fight, but at that time he was managed by the late Barney Eastwood, bookmaker and promoter from Belfast, and they were working with Mickey Duff back then. And there's a lot of to and fro, but they wound up making the fight, and I was quite close. And because we drove the purse money up for the champion, we did get I did get looked after, but The fight at QPR was a major fight. I mean, it was the whole nation. It got huge numbers. It was on BBC television. And I think in those days, I'm not sure the exact amount, but it's something like 23, 24 million people watched it live. So that tells you how big it was. And Barry was a big, big star. And then him and Barney, as we always see in boxing, they fell out with each other. And it was quite a bitter fallout. And then he had a lawyer at the time, who's passed away now, who approached me, and he was a really nice guy, the lawyer, and he asked if I was interested in promoting him, and basically that's what we did. We done a deal, and I put him on, and I remember putting him. We put him on at Luton Football Club. We done an open air show there, because in those days they had a plastic pitch or an all weather pitch, and Luton had a massive Irish population, big Irish population there. So we put it on there, and had the fight, put a couple of fights on, but Barry was he was how can I put it? He was in the Barry McGuigan business, and I don't blame him, because that's fighters can be selfish, and promoters, I suppose, they feel can be selfish.
Yes,
but he was more like when you work with Barry, it was that sort of feeling. So what you done for me today? It was one of them, But look, he become a big hero, and as you know, over time he wound up having an acrimonious fallout with Carl Frampton. It was like,
yes,
it's funny how history and things happen.
Pieces, yes.
That's quite acrimonious. That was in a bad.
Well, Frank, I mean, listen, I say to you all the time when we're talking on the phone, like you always say, I'm getting old. But I always say to you now, you're getting wiser. And even just listening to you talk, you can see that, you may have guys that are promoters and stuff like that. And I don't know them well, I don't know. But what I will say is, or what I want to ask is, how do you manage to still keep the fire in your belly? Because the game's changed a lot, right? In terms of when you was, full on. Obviously, you got George and Francis to help you now. But what keeps that fire burning in you as a promoter?
Well, I'm 71 years young.
Young, that's it. That's the talk.
From a kid, I love boxing. I love sport, and I'm a massive Arsenal fan, and I love my boxing. And I had cousins second cousin who boxed, Johnny Wall, late Johnny Wall. He was a decent light heavyweight. Just go and watch him fight. Lenny McLean fought in some what they call unlicensed fights, and I wound up promoting them purely by accident, and I got involved in it. But what there are a lot of people involved in boxing, you know, and over the years, you know, we all say how it's changed, but it's changed how you watch it and how you consume it. Really, you
Yes.
know, it's you know, when I came out and I used to do the shows, I used to buy shows from Bob Arum along with Satellite Express, another company. We used to do these joint. We done quite a few joint shows showing big fights, but over from the States, from Vegas, and we used to put them into cinemas. And in those days, you'd pay anything from 20 to 25 quid for a seat there to watch it in
Wow.
the very early hours of the morning. That was quite expensive.
That's expensive.
And then you know, then I got ITV in boxing, which was quite a feat because they had no interest in domestic boxing. They used to show recorded highlights of some of the big American fights, and the only game in town was BBC, and the Cartel, which was Mickey Duff, Jarvis Astaire, Terry Lawless, and Mike Barrett. They used to, they had that exclusive contract. But I got ITV involved, and then we started. And then what I got on ITV was just get them to do live boxing, and the Border Control didn't want that. No one wanted live boxing. There was no live boxing. It was all shown on a delayed basis. So we started getting live fights on, broke that barrier and doing that. Then over time, Sky came into being. I got involved with them, built their boxing platform up. Did the first pay-per-view. We introduced pay-per-view, which made a big difference to British boxing in as much that we could at least try and compete with the Americans with some of the fights and get some of the big fights on over here. And I did manage to do that over a period of time with quite a few of our, with Barry McGuigan, for example, had Barry on going live back to the States and so forth, and various TV channels. But you know what? At the end of the day, it how you watch it, how you consume it, whether you buy a live ticket or you watch it on TV or stream it or you watch it pay-per-view. Fact of the matter is, what you are watching and what you want, what remains the same. It has to be a good fight. It has to be a fight that the fans want to see.
100%. A lot of people don't know that you actually made history. You know that, Frank? Because last month was actually Black History Month. People don't know this. Like, you promoted Lloyd Honeyghan versus Sylvester Mitty. Are you still there, Frank?
Yeah, I'm listening, mate. Go on.
You promoted Lloyd Honeyghan versus Sylvester Mitty. What was that, 85, I think that was?
I don't know if I did. Did I do that one?
Yeah, you did do it. You did
remember. Well,
yeah,
anyway.
you did it. Yeah, I'm just saying.
My memory's going. Good.
No, it's not. Don't say that, mate. Don't upset me today. Right, you promoted that fight. Do you know that was the first time that we had two immigrants fighting for a British, European, or Commonwealth title?
Really?
And you know that you actually made history by doing that, sir.
Well, I got to be honest. I'm not sure I did do that one, but if I did, I'm pleased to be part of history.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I'm not knowing that because I know that it was because the fight was on ITV. If it was with the other lot, it would have been.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
If it was the other lot, it would be on BBC. But because there'd been so many fights, but because at that time there, I remember watching that fight and like you could have, because I know Lloyd Honeyghan wanted to leave. He was with Terry Lawless and he wanted to leave, but he ended up going to Mickey Duff. But it's really and truly, it's the same person. And he wanted to go over to you, but you opted to go with Sylvester Mitty instead. Do you regret doing that, seeing as you saw that Lloyd Honeyghan, like a year after that, became undisputed world welterweight champion?
No, listen, you know, whatever's meant to be is meant to be. I mean, I going back to those days, I can remember signing Roy Gums, who was a
incredible fighter,
middleweight, and we did 2 fights with him over in the States. Sorry, not in the States, in Canada, Commonwealth title fights. He won one and they didn't give it to him, and then we got a rematch. But he had a big fight at the time, which was with Mark Kaler, and that actually got. I think the newspapers stirred it up a bit as well. They tried to make it into a big racial thing, and it was. I found that pretty time, but you know,
I'm gonna talk here. Can you hear me, Manny? Can Can you hear me,
No,
Spence?
no, sorry.
Yeah, we can hear you,
The
man.
the ratio
Can you hear me, Spence?
was Errol Christie.
Yeah, but I can't hear
Was
you.
Errol
All right, carry on.
It was Errol Christie. But the Roy Gums and Mark Taylor fight, we did that alley pally. We had a temporary structure there because we couldn't book. I couldn't book the venues in them days because they were owned by the or they were run, I should say, and had their exclusive contracts with a cartel. But that was a cracking fight, sold out, and unfortunately Roy got beat by Mark Taylor, who boxed really well that night. To be fair to him, boxed extremely well. But
He
they
did.
were great days. They were good, fun days. There were some brilliant days. I enjoyed them.
Yeah, because like, as you see, boxing has changed, right? You know, like if you should pick guys from one era to the next era. Because I remember, and I mean years ago, I was only a kid. I must have been like 23. I turned pro when I was 23. But I remember coming out to the office and we was having a conversation about the greatest heavyweight of all time. And you swore blind that Larry Holmes was the best you've ever seen. Now you've got Tyson Fury. I think it could change a little bit in what you're right. But I'm saying of that time, of that era, why do you think Larry Holmes was so good, Frank?
Well, first of all, he's in the shadow of Muhammad Ali. I mean, and Ali was a great fighter. Look, all that generation fighters were all great fighters. You know, you look at Sonny Liston was a great fighter,
Incredible fighter.
You know, great fighter. And you look at Joe Frazier, Foreman, all of them. But I like that. What I liked about Larry was that he had such a brilliant jab, such a great chin. I mean, you know, I don't think I ever see him in a bad fight. Always real good quality fights, you know. And for me, I'm a big fan of fighters who can jab, and I don't think any heavyweight had a better jab than him.
Sorry, let me just say, Ben Oldham, thank you for the £100 from Joe Kawasaki, Nas, Mike Tyson, Tyson Fury, Billy Joe Saunders, Ricky Hatton, Amir Khan, Chris Eubank, Ben, Frank Bruno, Chisora, Anti-Yard, Billy Joe, etc. Uncle Frank is a national treasure. Thank you so much, Ben Oldham, for the £100. I would say, over the years and all the great fighters that you've had over the years, I know you couldn't pick one guy to say like he was the best fighter that you've had, because I remember when you had Nassim Hamed, at the time when you had him in his regal times.
Yeah.
Like, how much of a thrill was that when you was promoting Nassim Hamed?
How much was it? Sorry.
Thrill. How much of a thrill was that, Frank?
Oh, I loved it. I mean, it was good. When I met him, he came to my house with his then manager and trainer, Brendan Ingle. And he sat down, and it's the first time I met him. I'd seen a couple of his like films of his fights, but he'd had a couple of fights, I think, with Barry Hearn and with Mickey Duff, but they never done anything with him. And when I met him, I knew what I could do. I knew what I could do as a promoter him and so forth. And it was quite unusual as well. You've got this young kid from he's obviously British, but Yemeni British, and it tells you how Britain was changing as well as a nation, and how accepted that he became a massive favourite of all of the fight fans. I mean, he'd done tremendous business, but he could fight, and he trained all the time. He was in that gym all the time, and and his family got involved. He had two brothers, and one of them was a real regal pain in the ass who, didn't know too much about the game and thought he knew it all. And I think I tell Naz this: he never achieved his full potential. He never did that. He never achieved it. But what he achieved was brilliant anyway. And he was exciting. He was unorthodox. I mean, the crowd loved him, and when I got into boxing, only the main event ever had any music, and normally it was a scratchy old 78 record with a fanfare on, and we started putting. Well, I did. I put, we got the fighters coming into signature tunes, putting music on. We had the Round Card Girls advertising. None of that happened prior to that. And for Naz, it was, you knew you had someone you could work with who got it and understood it. And it was just fun. It was real good fun. And as I say, more importantly, he could fight, and he could fight. He could really fight.
Certainly could. Certainly could. Frank, I could talk to you forever on history and all the rest of it, sir. But what I do want to say to you, Frank, with this whole Saudi Arabia link that you've got on at this present moment, is there a chance, because everyone's talking about this ban which is happening with TalkSport, and Carlos says, thank you so much, Carlos, for the €5.99. He says, respect to Frank as a legendary promoter. Have you sent Adam Catterall a box of wine after pulling his pants down on IFL?
I've sent. Listen, at Christmas he's going to be well looked after. He's getting a nice bag of wine gums. Some Kleenex.
Yes.
I might send him some Kleenex as well.
Good stuff.
So, Frank, do you think, like, I don't know, like, on this ban of TalkSport, will that be?
They're not. First of all, Spence, I haven't banned.
Right.
Yes.
Refuses to speak with them. And,
Okay.
And because of, and I had it out again last night on their show with Adam and Gareth Davis, and it's, look, if you want to be a critic, and you know it better than anybody, you guys have been fighters, you've been trainers, you're a manager too, and you know it's very difficult to throw criticism, and sometimes the critics don't like being criticised themselves. So
there you go.
You can't stand the heat, and you shouldn't be in the kitchen to start with. And
I
I was quite upset about the narrative over the last year, which they accept now is the truth, that Tyson didn't duck anybody. You know, it just didn't happen. We tried to make a succession of fights. Twice we tried to make fights with AJ, and the first time around AJ, we actually got to exchanging contracts, but then we found out we weren't going to fight anyway because he didn't even have a trainer. So we wasted time on that. And the second time round, he didn't want to know. And Tyson was going to give him, was willing to make it 60-40 split. And the thing with Usyk just become a disaster. He's supposed to have fought him last December. He then pulled out with an injury. We tried to make the fight with AJ. And then we went up with six weeks to go, 6 or 7 weeks. And that's how we went up with Derek Chisora in there, because he was the highest available guy around for him to fight. Weren't an ideal situation, but we had signed for the Usyk fight, so they wanted to put that on again in February or April, and I couldn't have Tyson not fighting, not being in the ring, which would have been well over a year before fighting Usyk. So that's how the fight with Derek come about. And Usyk then went signed again with a skilled challenge lot and kept telling us we'll be getting an offer any day, and we never ever got an offer. It just didn't happen. And now that contract's lapsed, and we've managed now to get the fight on between everybody, and it'll go on in February. But it's very important that fighters are not inactive, and it's horrible for guys, especially if they've got a big fight coming up, that they need to get that rust out their system. And especially as far as I'm concerned, with anybody I'm involved with, I want them to, when they're going into rings, to have everything going for them. They're with me, then I've got to make sure that I'm providing them with all the best odds I can get for them in the fight.
Yeah, Frank, you've obviously had thick skin to be in a sport so long, but do you get frustrated at times when, the public, certain members of the media create a narrative which in your heart and mind isn't true? It's like, even like what you're talking about, all this AJ, and you're talking it from your perspective, but then another promoter will say something, and then all of a sudden you've got this narrative about Frank don't want the fight, it's them, or Fury don't want the fight. Does that frustrate you, and how do you deal with it?
It don't frustrate me so much. It's just what annoys me. Look, you've got the haters out there, and you've got the people who sometimes, they've got their favourites who they want to, who they like and who they don't like. That's how it is. And that doesn't matter. What annoys me is when somebody who's supposed to be in the business and understand the business and know the business, and just decide they're just running their own narrative without knowing the facts. Everybody's entitled to an opinion, but if you're there like you two guys are doing, it has to be an informed opinion.
Yes.
You can't just
Yes.
be spouting your mouth off and just for the sake of it and saying things that are totally ridiculous and untrue. And when they're saying that these fights that were warm lager, I mean,
Yeah.
how was it warm lager? Joe Joyce getting in the ring with Joe Parker. That was the number 1 and 3, and had a bloody good fight. How was it warm lager for Joe Joyce to have 2 fights with Zhang when they were number 1, number 2, and all those fights for the mandatory position and the interim world title, and even last August, how was it warm lager for a rematch between AJ and Usyk? And then in the meantime, you got Tyson, which was probably about 18 months ago, fighting Dillian White in a mandatory, when the same people, Adam, for example, Adam Catterall, was saying that he should be getting far more money, Dillian, than he was entitled to get, if that's all warm lager. And by the way, TalkSport bought all that warm lager.
yeah. WM Boxing Views, it says Fury would have continued to duck Usyk, but for this huge Saudi payday, in any event, Usyk is smooth. Well, that's just another opinion from a boxing fan.
The fight's on. It's signed.
Yes, we can't duck him.
15th of February, and that's it. And the reason it wasn't signed because he went and signed a deal with another. We couldn't get. They didn't come up with an offer.
Yes.
So Frank, in an ideal world, Tyson Fury gets past Usyk, and Anthony Joshua gets past Wallin, and then this proposed fight with Deontay Wilder.
You got a bit of problem with that microphone, Spence.
Yeah, that's what I was just saying. You're crackling up there, Spence. Yeah,
hello? Is it back? Is it all right?
There's echo.
I don't know why. Is it all right now?
Yeah, it's all right now.
Okay, yeah. So I don't know what's going on. Yeah, I was saying, like, could we eventually see? Yeah, I'm telling you, it's TalkSport, mate. Do you think we could eventually see Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury if they both win their fights respectively?
Well, they've got to win. Well, first of all, to get there, AJ's got to. I think Wallin may give him a few problems. He doesn't like southpaw. He's not done too well with southpaws. Wallin had a good win last time out against Gassiev. I know they sparred a lot together, but it'd be interesting to see. And then he's then hopefully going to fight Wilder, and he's got to get through that. So let's see what happens down the road. But look, Tyson's never ducked anybody. I mean, this is the guy that went to Germany and fought Klitschko in his adopted country in front of 50,000 people. This is the guy that went over and fought the hardest punching heavyweight in the last 40 years, or statistically, and fought three times in the States. He's never ducked anybody. He's a fighting man, and that's a little bit why I got a little bit annoyed about it. But look, they're all happening now, the fights, so the rest is ancient history, and we just move forward with those fights. And hopefully, I'd love to see AJ come through, because that's a great domestic bust up, isn't it, between them two?
I still feel that is the biggest fight out there, Frank. I mean, maybe not I don't know. I just think Anthony Joshua versus Tyson Fury, or Tyson Fury versus Anthony Joshua, is still massive. I personally think it's bigger than Usyk. Belts aside, it's a fight we would love to see.
I think there's a good case for that. However, I think the British public do know who Usyk is. They see him. They see him beat the national hero twice, and so they know who he is. So I think, as far as the fight's concerned, they are the two best heavyweights on the planet at this moment in time. I think I believe, and I hope I'm right, that Tyson's the best, and we will see. That those fights happen. And Usyk got exposed a little bit in his last fight against Dubois.
Yeah,
Daniel, and that's something that was that was worked on. There was a flaw. I feel he has a flaw. I don't think he likes it to the body, and we know Daniel can whack, and he definitely caught him. I know there's all the controversy over whether it's a low blow or not. For me, it wasn't a low blow, but.
And I'm in your full of camp, mate. I totally agree with you on that one.
And he did hurt him, and he got ridiculous amount of time to recover. But anyway, look, that's you can't change that. It is what it is. But one thing's for sure, he's in with an intelligent heavyweight in Tyson Fury, who knows, who obviously will make use of that knowledge and exploit it. There's no doubt about it. And maybe Usyk may look at the fight that he had against Ngannou and think to himself, he's seen some chinks in Tyson's armor. We're only very, but that Ngannou fight was always going to be, for me, I think I said it'd be a shootout for a couple of rounds because I felt the only thing I could watch of him was these fights that he had with UFC. You could see punch. He's a good puncher, strong puncher. You didn't want to be, getting tied up with him in a fight because that's what they do. That's their game, isn't it? The manhandling and all that. But what surprised me, Harry showed up because there was no fight for it. He weren't a guy you could train for and look and try to say, right, we'll exploit his weaknesses because you never see him. And he actually shapes up well. I think if they fight again, which I think they will fight again, if they fight again, I think Tyson, obviously, it'll be a different fight because he's been in the one and he knows what he's got to do.
Yeah, well, I mean, me and you spoke before the fight when I was in America, and you just echoing what you said. You said to me, listen, we don't know much about this guy. There's no footage on him, and we knew he was strong. As you said, I just don't think anyone was expecting him to be that physically strong and have the boxing IQ that he had. But listen, we got through it. As I said on an interview yesterday, I said there weren't many people lining up to fight this Francis Ngannou guy because he's known as, again, statistically, one of the hardest punchers, or one, if not the hardest puncher out there in sport. So it was never going to just be a walk in the park. I just feel that, again, Fury.
I really did think Tyson, I thought about 3 or 4 rounds and they'd get to him, but he did shape up. And what he was switch hitting, he was feinting.
Yes.
Where Tyson normally feints and he draws the lead, he weren't having any of that. And they obviously done their homework. Trainer done his homework with him. But you know what? And Tyson, by the way, it was an off night. He didn't look, Tyson didn't look like the normal Tyson. So it was a combination of things. One thing's for sure, he will give any of the heavyweights a fight. There's no doubt.
Definitely. Listen, we don't want to hold you too much. We could talk to you for hours, Frank, because so much knowledge. And listen, knowledge is the key. But fantastic having you on, Frank. Much, much appreciated. Believe me.
Right.
And,
sorry, Frank. Before you go, though, I'd like to ask you, sir. Before you go, so does this mean that when Tyson Fury unifies the heavyweight championship of the world and becomes undisputed champion in February, are TalkSport allowed to go to the fight?
It's not where they can go to. They go to the fight. I mean, what it was that he didn't want to talk to them, and and that's the choice. But look, I've not banned them. They done our show from Manchester.
Yes.
Okay.
That really good show we put on up in Manchester was on TalkSport, and the boss of TalkSport, Liam, I like him. He's a really nice guy, and I like all the guys. I'll get on okay with them. They're entitled to their opinions, but we're entitled to ours. And the thing is about any time you're doing interviews, like say doing this podcast. Once I finish, we could have a debate. Once I finish, you've got the last say because I'm off air. And
yes,
when you're saying to somebody on, which for me the other day was just saying to Adam, I didn't ambush him as they said. I said to him early in the evening, I want to have a chat with you before whatever, because there's a couple of things I want to get off my chest, and he was just leaving, and it's just coincidence I was talking on IFL. But
yeah. But not that you set it up. Not that you set it up, Frank. Someone say you set it up.
But at the end of the day, you're both there, and you got the opportunity, and that's it. And look, it's water under the bridge now, and we move on, and I've made our point. I don't want to keep boring people with the same dialogue.
No.
It's done. Yes. What has happened, which nobody can deny, we've got a fantastic show on up in in Riyadh on the 23rd of December. A fantastic show, with
Brilliant.
all top heavyweights and light heavyweights on there. And then we've got the big one on the 17th of February, again in Riyadh season. I mean, it's boxing manner for any fans. You're getting all those things you wanted, boys. You've got. They're all happening. Brilliant.
And lastly, someone Alfie Black has asked, when's your autobiography released, Frank? You got one coming out? I didn't know you had one coming out.
Yeah, it's been coming out for too long now. I hope it'll be out sometime early next year. I hope it will. Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Oh, brilliant.
It's got a
Brilliant.
wonky coffee table. It fits just under.
Brilliant. Ladies and gentlemen, it has been an absolute honor and pleasure to have the godfather of boxing, the legend himself, the man that makes it happen, the one, the only, Mr. Frankie Blue Eyes Warren. Thanks,
Thank you very much. Take care. God bless.
Thank you. It's been a pleasant Sunday evening. I've enjoyed it, and we'll have to do it again. And as you know, tremendous respect for your show, and well done, both of you. You do really.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Ton, your camera is nuts. I think it's so blurry, Ton.
My camera.
Yeah, I'm telling you, someone's trying to infiltrate our team, bro.
You know what it is? They're trying to infiltrate. You know what it is? Because I can see now the Wi-Fi is at a low reception.
Okay.
And I think that's what's blocking out. But who's messing with my Wi-Fi? That's what I want to know.
Ton, I can hardly hear you. It's very, very blurry. You know what?
I'm gonna log on and log back out again. Yeah, let me
try do that because I ain't gonna make this thing drag on to too long because I want to keep the thing to where it is. Drew Alexander says Professor Spence is right. Tundi's camera is whack using cheap Wi-Fi, and he's always using cuss me about the Wi-Fi. But I don't know. I think it's TalkSport trying to mash us up, bro. But as Tundi logged out now, I can't even see. All I can see, like, I ain't gonna lie, I don't know what kind of voodoo man Tundi looks like. His camera's frozen right now. I don't know what is going on, but
how's that? Is that? No, it's still blurry, innit?
Yeah, Tundi, but you didn't lock off. You're still on you got 3 of you now. You got 2 of you on the.
Oh wow! All right. Wait there. There's 3 of me. Wait.
I don't know what Tundi is doing. Yeah, thank you. Well, Tundi's gone now. Right, Amanda said it was the bishop, and now he's back again. Let's see what's going on now.
Nah, you can hear me though.
What's going on today? Is the
you can hear me, right?
He said it's the bishop Tundi that's trying to mash up our team.
Yeah, putting two heads up there. So man's working the thing. It's Bishop and TalkSport. They've infiltrated this thing. But you can hear me well, right?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you loud as clear. Carlos, thank you very much for the €5.99. Bishop, they saying Bishop has done some mad juju on this show. Smiley face. You know what? We saw the fight last night. I know that you spoke about it while I was fiddling to try and get on the show. And you know what I mean? And I really did want to just keep it to an hour. I was very, very grateful that Frank Warren, we spoke earlier today, and he said, yeah, I'd love to jump on the show. I said, yeah, jump on the show. I sent him the link, and away we go. And we had Tundi's now gone again. And we had him on the show. We've had quite a few. So I'm glad that you spent your Sunday with us. I know Manny's on the other side right now, and Tundi's thing ain't working. So, in Tundi's words, oh yes, good.
Wait. Let me look at this.
Tundi, your thing's going like in a section dance, like using echo chamber.
Nah, because I'm taking it off the computer. Yeah. So now you can hear me, right?
Yeah, we did it for your phone.
Yeah, I'm doing it from my phone.
Yeah, bro, your phone is clearer than your computer, Tundi.
Wow. Well, listen, at least we can sign off properly.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, but great show, Spence. Fantastic. Listen, we could have listened to Frank all day long, especially you, because I know you know these stories, and it was good that he was quoting names and years and stuff like that. It's brilliant. The show is evolving every day. You know, when you get the Godfather of UK boxing on, you know it can only go up from there. So maybe next week we'll get Eddie on. Then we'll get Bob Arum on. Yeah, we're moving, Spence. We're moving.
Come on. That's the only way. That's all that we can do.
Okay. Well, let's end the show in exactly the same way we started it, with the magical words of dream it, believe it, become it.
Coming up, peace to things were out. I wish you all a pleasant week ahead. And remember, we don't have weekdays, we only have strong days. Peace to things we out.
I like that. Come on.